Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. From the moment you look at this SUV, you can tell it's trying to make a statement. It's bold, it's muscular, it's aggressive, and it has that stance that instantly reminds you of one of the wildest performance SUV ever made, the Lamborghini Urus. But here's the twist. This isn't a six-figure Italian monster. This is Volkswagen's surprising answer to that formula, the so-called Baby Urus. A car that borrows the spirit, the design drama, and the road presence of Lamborghini's SUV, but brings it down to a level normal people can actually buy. And today, we're diving deep into exactly why this Volkswagen has earned that nickname, how much of it is real, how much of it is marketing hype, and why so many car lovers are suddenly looking at it as the perfect everyday alternative to one of the most outrageous performance SUV on the planet. Now, let's be honest, when people hear the words Baby Lamborghini Urus, most of them think it's just exaggeration, a clickbait term, or a fun nickname. But when you start breaking down the design language, the platform, the technology, the proportions, and even the driving style, the similarities start to become very, very real. Because what most people forget is that both Lamborghini and Volkswagen live under the same corporate umbrella. They share technologies, engineering teams, chassis systems, and even engines in many of their performance models. So when VW decides to build a sporty, aggressive, coupe-style SUV, it's not coming from nowhere. It's coming from a brand that has direct access to the same toolbox that created the Urus. And that's where the story gets interesting. Look at the front end of this car. The sharp LED headlights, the huge grille, the wide, planted stance. It looks like it's trying to take up as much space on the road as possible. This isn't the soft, rounded, friendly design you normally expect from Volkswagen. This is all angles, muscles, and intimidation. You get those deep aerodynamic style elements, a sculpted bonnet line that dips aggressively toward the front, and bodywork that flares out over the wheels just like the Urus. It has that don't mess with me attitude even before the engine starts, and that's exactly why SUV lovers started calling it the Baby Urus. It doesn't just resemble the shape, it carries the same personality. Move to the side and the resemblance gets even stronger. The sloping roofline, the coupe-style side profile, the dramatic wheel arches, and the athletic shoulder line. These are straight out of the performance SUV design textbook. The Urus is famous for looking more like a supercar on stilts rather than a traditional SUV, and this Volkswagen carries a lighter version of that same energy. It doesn't want to look practical. It wants to look fast even while standing still. Even the wheel designs, especially the bigger alloy options, look like they've been inspired by performance SUV rather than family crossovers. The stance is wide and low, giving it that aggressive road presence usually reserved for brands with raging bulls on their badge. Now, the back of the car takes the sporty feeling even further. The connected taillight bar, the sharp spoiler, the big rear bumper, and the fake, but convincing diffuser-style elements. They all scream performance. Again, Volkswagen didn't build this SUV to blend in. They built it to stand out, and that's exactly why so many car enthusiasts instantly compare it to the Lamborghini Urus, of course. The Urus is still wider, lower, more expensive, and more extreme. But what VW has done here is capture the essence of that look and translate it into something affordable, sensible, and perfect for everyday use. But design is only half the story. The real magic lies under the skin. Because this VW isn't just a random attempt at a sporty SUV, it's built on the same MQB platform that the Volkswagen Group uses across some of its most capable and dynamic models. A platform that also shares engineering principles with the MLB platform used by Audi, Porsche, and yes, even Lamborghini. That doesn't mean this VW is secretly a cut-price Urus, but it does mean it benefits from the same engineering philosophy, Lightweight materials, rigid construction, advanced suspension geometry and height, heck electronics that control how the car behaves on the road. In other words, the DNA is shared even if the horsepower isn't. Speaking of power, no, this isn't running a 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 with 650 horsepower. But what it does have is an impressive range of engines that deliver surprisingly strong performance for its class. From turbocharged petrol engines that punch above their weight to efficient diesels and even hybrid options, this car offers the perfect blend of performance and economy. And here's the interesting part. Because it's lighter than the Urus and designed for regular roads, the acceleration feels more usable. You're not dealing with a massive SUV trying to launch like a supercar. Instead, you get a quick, responsive, practical performance package that feels fun in everyday driving. Then you get behind the wheel and suddenly everything makes sense. The steering is sharp, the chassis feels tight, and the body control is surprisingly good for an SUV. Volkswagen tuned this thing with sporty intentions, so it doesn't wobble or lean the way many crossovers do. Instead, it feels planted, secure, and confident, almost as if it wants you to push it a little harder. The suspension is firm but controlled, the throttle response is eager, and the gearbox delivers quick, clean shifts. It's not trying to be a super SUV, but it's definitely trying to be the most exciting SUV in its price range. Inside, the story continues. Volkswagen didn't go full Lamborghini, but they did bring in a much sportier and more modern cabin design. The dashboard looks sharp, the screens are crisp and responsive, the digital cockpit feels futuristic, and the ambient lighting gives the interior a high-end, premium feel. The seats are supportive, the driving position is sporty, and everything from the steering wheel design to the finishing materials feels like the car was designed with enthusiasm, not just practicality. And that's exactly what people want today. They want the feel of a luxury performance SUV without spending exotic car money, and that brings us to the most important part, the philosophy behind this car. Cars like the Lamborghini Urus exist because people want performance, drama, and excitement in an SUV body. But the reality is that the Urus is a dream car for most people. It's expensive to buy, expensive to run, and far too extreme for daily use. Volkswagen understood this gap in the market. They realized people wanted the look and the attitude without the crazy price tag. So they built an SUV that captures the magic of the Urus but keeps things sane. Sane in price, sane in running costs, sane in practicality. You get the same emotional appeal in a package you can use every day, take to work, park anywhere, and maintain without selling a kidney. But there's another angle too. The Urus became famous because it made SUV exciting. It showed the world that an SUV could be as emotionally thrilling as a sports car. VW didn't ignore that lesson. They created a model that lets everyday drivers feel some of that excitement every time they press the accelerator, take a corner, or simply look at the reflection of their car in a shop window. It's a car that makes people feel good, feel confident, feel proud, and that's something the automotive world is moving toward more than ever. You also have to consider resale value and popularity. This VW is becoming extremely desirable in markets around the world. People want SUV that looks sporty and premium, and this delivers exactly that. It has that recognizable modern aggressive style that fits Instagram aesthetics, car meet crowds, family buyers, and young drivers, all at the same time. That's why demand keeps rising. It's why people call it the baby Urus, not because it's a Lamborghini, but because it creates the same emotional reaction. Wow, that looks sick. At the end of the day, the nickname isn't about what the car is, it's about what it makes you feel. And this VW makes people feel like they're driving something special, something cooler, something with attitude. It mixes practicality with performance, inspired design, affordability with drama, everyday usability with road presence. It might not roar like an Urus, but it commands attention. It might not hit 200 mph, but it hits that emotional sweet spot that makes SUV exciting. And that is why this Volkswagen has become known as the baby Lamborghini Urus. Not because it tries to copy the Urus, but because it offers the same energy in a package that real people can actually buy, drive, and enjoy every single day.